badgered in, guys. We've got a crazy bunch of stories this morning. Not only do we have the riots going on, the tensions in Israel and Iran have spilled over into all-out war, potentially. And we're going to get into that a bit. So right now, let's wake up and smell some of the napalm and get into the meat of the matter. Again, I warned that this was going to happen, that we were on the cusp of this. I did not expect it to happen in the next 24 hours. Go back and look at yesterday's. I specifically cite that Israel would probably, if we didn't come to agreement with a new nuclear deal with Iran, that they would just bomb the crap out of them. And I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly. So last night, on our Thursday, early wee hours of Friday morning, Israel bombed the absolute crap out of Tehran, the capital of Iran, and multiple sites throughout Iran. The Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, declared a special situation throughout Israel for the next 48 hours. So this is still ongoing due to a high probability that a retaliatory attack would occur. That retaliatory attack is happening right now as I'm speaking. Earlier on Thursday, President Trump said that Israel attack was something that could very well happen, but said he preferred a diplomatic approach to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. The Revolutionary Guard's commander was killed in the first initial strike. Revolutionary Guard, if you know what it is, you know this guy is not a good man. Explosions were heard in the Natanz city, close to the key Iranian nuclear site. Israel hit multiple nuclear enrichment sites. The centrifuges are the main thing they want to be able to destroy. That's the key machinations to be able to refine and enrich uranium. IDF then called up thousands of reservists, basically anticipating of an all-out war with Iran. Netanyahu announced Rising Lion as the operation, where he basically stated the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetuated by the Iranian regime. He said Israel strikes targeted nuclear enrichment sites, weaponization sites, nuclear scientists, and sites related to Iran's ballistic missile program. The moment the strikes occurred, within 30 minutes or less, Rubio immediately made a statement that Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We were not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with the regional partners. Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Essentially got Israel run up, smacked a big dude on the head, and then we've got, America's got our back turned and we don't see what's going on, and the big dude could come, whack us over the top of the head, because all of our embassies and military sites are spread out across there. They're not protected by Israel's Iron Dome, meaning that they are open to attack. Hence Iran's threat the other day where they said, if we get hit, we'll blame you and attack you too. And I'm hoping that will not be the case, because I do not want to be brought into another war. But frankly, this could be the meanderings of World War III. You've got Ukraine, which is essentially propped up by NATO and us, and the other side of it being Russia. It's just a complete proxy war. And then here we've got something similar with basically us helping support Israel, and then Iran essentially being backed by China and Russia. Not a great time. So currently, this is happening right now. Trump has called out Iran to make a deal before it's too late. The U.S. president said Tehran now had to come to the table and save what's known as the Iranian Empire. Just save what's left. Just to note, given some of the words in here that Trump says, he essentially knew this attack was coming. It's going to be very clear as we go through this. He knew it was coming. Israel briefed us on it and basically said, you've got a ticking clock. Either get a deal done or we're going to start blowing shit up. So Friday, early morning, U.S. President Donald Trump urged the Islamic Republic to reach a nuclear deal before it is too late. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipate, or were told, that the U.S. makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Very just straight out threatening, dude, get this done or Israel's coming. So Iran knew it was coming. IDF now states that the top 3 Iranian military commanders were killed in Israeli airstrikes. This gets into the Mossad. Israel's stated that the Mossad has been a part of this to basically help probably laze the targets or note where the targets are, because they made this strike hard and fast and hit a lot of key targets. Talking about the retaliatory strike, Iran has now launched 100 drones toward Israel territory. The IDF has said that 3 of Iran's top military leaders were killed in the early morning airstrikes. The Armed Forces Chief of Staff General Mohammad Bagheri, and of course the head of the Revolutionary Guard, which is just a horrible POS, and then of course the commander of Iranian's emergency commander were killed. So Iran is running with their head cut off, their military, which for those of you familiar with dictatorial regimes, when you cut off the head of a snake, in this case more like a hydra, you're going to potentially get multiple heads popping off. This isn't like cutting off the Ayatollah and now you're basically having a military regime that's running the country. You've cut the head off the military leader who's helping hold the country together, and the military groups. Cutting all those heads off all at once, you could see a huge internal strife happening within Iran, and I think that's what the goal is. They're like, hey, let's kill all the heads of the military, and let's hope that their factions then tear themselves apart. Otherwise, if they're strong enough, they'll hold together and come after us. The strikes were carried out by more than 200 Israeli fighter jets. Why did this happen? How did we get here all of a sudden? Frankly, Biden and Obama. Obama made a horrible deal and gave billions upon billions, like close to $500 billion to Iran. That really jump-started them. They hadn't been in violation since September 2005. We're going to say that hasn't been. They've been in violation. Just nobody put the effort into pushing the UN's regulatory body, the International Atomic Energy Agency, to say, look, here's the evidence. We're going to push this forward, and we want you to confirm it. And that's what the U.S. did, along with a couple of other nations. And the IAEA came out and stated point blank that, yes, they're in violation. That happened yesterday. It happened actually right after my show went live yesterday. And Israel, of course, knew what the results were going to be. I'm sure we shared it with them beforehand. And that's where they were like, look, either get a deal done or we're going to go take care of it. And they went and took care of it. Iran had breached its non-proliferation obligations. It is the first time in almost 2 decades that the IAEA had taken that stance. Last time they adopted this position was in September 2005. Also of note, yesterday I pointed out that some of the heads of Iran came out and mocked the U.S., saying that we have no business doing any of this, that they haven't been in violation. They pointed that the European Union was in violation of the agreement because they had sanctions that they were actually following on Iran. But the fact is, the reason why they were still following the sanctions is because Iran was in violation. The IAEA refused to acknowledge that they were in violation. We now put pressure on the IAEA to say, look, here's the evidence. Put up or shut up. The resolution declaring Iran in violation, which was submitted by the U.S., Britain, France, and Germany, was approved by 19 countries with 11 abstaining. Only Russia, China, and Burkina Faso voted against the resolution. I wonder why those 3 did. Burkina Faso, nobody cares. Russia and China, they're the ones propping up Iran. Specifically, undeclared nuclear material and activities at multiple undeclared sites constitutes non-compliance with its obligation of the Safeguards Agreement with the agency. I pointed out that's what Iran does. They essentially work to enrich the uranium up into the threshold point and kind of store it, and that's what they've been doing. Uranium traces detected at undeclared sites in Iran came to be there despite the agency having investigated the issue for years. The stock of uranium refined up to 60% in the form of uranium hexafluoride grew by 92.5 kilograms in the past quarter to 275 kilograms, one of two confidential IAEA reports that there is enough in principle, if enriched further, for 6 nuclear warheads. Khamenei, the head of Iran, taunted the U.S. and the Trump administration. The first word of the U.S. is that Iran should not have a nuclear industry and should rely on the United States. Our response to the U.S. nonsense is clear. They cannot do a damn thing in this matter. The rude and arrogant leaders of America repeatedly demand that we should not have a nuclear program. Who are you to decide whether Iran should have enrichment? Why are you interfering, whether Iran enriches uranium or not? What does it have to do with you? Who are you? We're the USA, bitch, and we tell you what we're going to do. We're going to F you up if we decide to. Frankly, we gave the information to Israel. Israel's now effing you up right now, and we're telling you don't bring us into it. And I hope that stays that way. Where did this come from? Again, this didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of this happened under the Biden administration and under Obama. Under Biden, they were able to generate $200 billion because Biden refused to enforce sanctions on Iran. Biden turned his back on Iran and said, do what you do, man. Go ahead. Take your oil out. Sell it to whoever you want to do. We're just going to turn a blind eye. And they did. And so they doubled their output in sales of oil to other countries, just carte blanche, just saying, hey, man, let's start making money. Financing also came from China. China gave out a loan of over $500 billion. What do you think they did with that money? Do you think it was really for infrastructure? And then they probably bought the money. They probably used the money to buy war machines from Russia, specifically citing that they bought drones from Russia, among other things. So they basically took money from China, took money that they made, and they're buying war machines from Russia. Good job, Biden. Yeah, let's get to some good news. So Trump has now basically said you need to pack some stuff and get out to a bunch of migrants. Specifically, 530,000 migrants from Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua had their parole formally revoked as of yesterday. Trump admin announced in March they would be revoking the status of these migrants. They, being the Biden administration, allowed more than 500,000 poorly vetted aliens from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela and their immediate family members to enter the U.S. through these disastrous parole programs. Please note, Venezuela, Nicaragua, they were two of the top countries that emptied out their prisons and said, hey, get to marching and get up to the U.S. The Assistant Secretary of the DHS added that the Biden administration granted them opportunities to compete for American jobs and undercut American workers, forced career civil servants to promote the programs even when fraud was identified, and then blamed Republicans in Congress for the chaos that ensued and the crime that followed. Biden let 21 million unvetted illegal aliens flood into the country from some of the most dangerous, dysfunctional nations on earth, many of them rapists, murderers, and terrorists. Those who are here illegally should either self-deport using CBP Home or ICE will find you and remove you. Saving America is non-negotiable. Hats off to you, man. We got to get those numbers up. We got rookie numbers out there right now on deportations. We got to get those numbers up. Rookie numbers. So we finally have somebody in law enforcement who has the balls to say what we all know. Riots, when they broke out in L.A., the police response has been hamstrung by politics, according to one California sheriff. And this isn't just some one California sheriff. This is one of the largest counties in California next to L.A. that is having to deal with this. The Riverside County Sheriff, Chad Binaco. I will tell you this, that would never happen in Riverside County because they would never be a mayor standing in front of a news camera blaming law enforcement for anything or encouraging people to come down and protest while riots were happening, while the police chief is standing right next to her. That would never happen, ever happen here. This is happening in LA County, possibly other places because it's political. It's because the people making these decisions. 2020, he was still in charge in 2020 and was able to get the BLM riots under control quickly in Riverside. And he goes on to say, they should have done the exact same thing this time, but instead they fell back to the same political black hole that LA always falls into. They don't prosecute, they don't arrest, they just allow this to happen. Who's funding those DAs? Soros. Soros has those DAs in place, and that's why this is ongoing. They're allowing this to continue. They're arresting the people. The cops are doing their job. The DAs are letting them off the hook, and they're putting them right back into the system. They do not like raw law enforcement. They enjoy criminal behavior because it creates an environment they can politically take control of and act like they're the heroes for saving us when the reality is they created it. The Democrat policies generated all of this. I said this earlier. It's all about allowing all the illegals in, generating all this chaos, and then them coming in, say, placating them. Here's your citizenship. Here's your UBI. Here's your free health care. Here's your free housing. Now just vote for us. Good job. Good job, liberals. Get out of the way of their chiefs of police and their sheriff's offices and let them maintain police. That is what we do. We are the experts at doing it. He went on to emphasize that when rioters were allowed to film themselves destroying property and post on social media for likes and clicks with no consequences, it encourages more bad actors to go that area. Duh. It's encouragement, and y'all are allowing it. Y'all being the liberals, y'all have allowed this to perpetuate by continuing to vote these people into office. Disgusting. You move to a red area, stop the cycle. I don't want that stuff in my area. Often the sheriff said he has to send his own officers to LA when riots there go south. Banaco is already responsible for the safety of 2.4 million people in Riverside County, the 10th largest county in the country, which sits just east of LA. The vast majority of cops that are on the line want to end the rioting, he says. They want to arrest the people that are throwing the things at them. They want to arrest the people that are trying to hurt them, vandalize property, start fires, and do all of those things. However, until officers get word from leadership, they just have to sit there and be victims of assaults with a deadly weapon. Good job, guys. That's what you voted for when you voted for Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. And a lot of you people that voted for them have left the state and are now going to red areas, and you're going to vote for the same ugly people. Stop it. Break the cycle. So in a reversal, and this is awesome because it's very ugly what happened, a crazy district judge, surprise, surprise, out in California, decided that President Donald Trump should not have control of the National Guard. That has to be reverted back to Gavin Newsom. He cited the 10th Amendment. In America, the 9th U.S. Circuit of Appeals, within just an hour or two, came out and said that, nope, that can't happen. Trump has till Tuesday before something happens or we make a final decision, and the National Guard remains in Trump's control. How many of you guys know what the 10th Amendment is? All of you guys should know this. It's one of the top amendments. The powers not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution or prohibited to it by the states are reserved to the states respectively or the people. The National Guard is part of the U.S. military. The U.S. military. Who is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military? The 10th Amendment, however you twist it, does not directly result in this ruling. It's absolutely asinine. And again, it's bench law from these ass district judges that are just making up stuff. This should not happen. This is not what the judges are put there to do. It's disgusting. So again, trying to leave you guys on a high note. Walz, the governor of Illinois, I don't remember who that is, and governor of New York, Hochul, got brought up to basically lambaste them before a Senate committee where they were asking about their policies where they're essentially giving preferential treatment to illegals and why they're doing that. And in it, there's a funny exchange where Tim Walz gets called out saying, hey, define a woman for us. So Nancy Mace decided to hit Tim Walz over the head because Tim Walz is a notorious liar. He lied about his service. He lied about being at Tiananmen Square. So again, he got caught in a couple of nice ones. Tim Walz, she initially asked about whether he was there at Tiananmen Square in the plaza in Beijing where the protests were massacred. He was there apparently in January of 1990, not there at Tiananmen Square. Okay, so once she realizes he's still going to toe the line about his lies, what's a woman? Because again, that's the number one question for you dumb liberals. What's a woman? Can you tell us? I don't know the question. So she continues to push to him because, again, you have this horrible judge that's now on our Supreme Court, KJ, who couldn't define a woman because she's not a biologist. Well, I'm not an aviation mechanic, and I can point out what an airplane and what a helicopter is. I can tell you what a prop is versus a jet engine. It's not complex. These are very basic things. I can tell you what's dirt and what's water, and I'm not a geologist. I'm not some sort of environmental guy. I can point out and say that that's water and that's dirt. I can tell you even the difference between fresh water and salt water. It's amazing what you can do when you use a little common sense. So she continued to push on because Walz got caught where he pushed that all menstruating students should have free tampons, which meant that they had to put in boys' restrooms tampons. What do you think those boys did with that? Yep, stuffed them in their nose, stuffed them in toilets, burned them. So he became Tampon Tim, and I think that's a wonderful nickname for him. So after he refused to answer, he then just flabbergasted and said, "What do you want me to say?" And she, of course, yelled, "An adult human female," because that's what a woman is. It's that simple. It's that easy. Men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence. Yup. You're a party of erasing women. Yup. You don't respect us. Yup. You're a bigot. Yup. You're a misogynist. Yup. And you're a sexist. Not only that, they're racist too. You liberals are horrible racists. She then turned to the chairman and yielded the floor. So I'm sorry, guys. That's the best I can give you for your silver lining today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Catch you later. Signing off.